So Atomfall is about to launch tomorrow. I got the early access version just to make some videos. And today we are going to be having a look at the performance with the RTX 5070 Ti as well as the Radeon RX 9070 XT. Now, we're just going to be doing a head-to-head. I'm just doing an intro with the single GPU, but from here on out, I'll just be putting them head-to-head and doing a voiceover recording. So I just wanted to show you one or two things here before we start with our recording. Firstly, the specs. We are running with the 7800X3D and then also the 5070 Ti and the 9070 XT. Now, we've got a few presets here, just ultra high, medium, low, and that's pretty much it, right? You can customize the detail here, and there's not a lot of options that you can enable in this game. Doesn't have any ray tracing options or anything like that, and the only render resolution scale you've got is this built-in one. There's no DLSS, FSR, XSS, or anything, and the built-in render resolution scale looks horrible, right? So let's just see if we do 70%, which would be DLSS quality more about, right? DLSS quality is 67%. You can just see the game looks absolutely horrible. Maybe it doesn't come across in the YouTube video properly, but anyway. So I just wanted to show you one or two other things as well. The game can look pretty good, right? Textures aren't horrible and the foliage is very nice, but the anti-aliasing is lacking. There's quite a lot of shimmering in the distance. Water looks very nice, actually. Not going to complain about that. But then some textures, like this rock here, doesn't look too bad, but some textures, I don't know exactly where to show you, are seriously lacking. I don't know why. Some textures look very good and some textures just looks a very, very low res. But I mean, it is a AA game, I believe. I mean, it's priced as a AA game as well. I'm having a little bit of fun in this game, and today I just thought I'd give it a shot on both these GPUs to give you an idea of what the performance is like. All right, and with that, let's jump right into the benchmarks. All right, we're going to start this off at 4K Ultra Native. As I said, the game does not support DLSS or FSR or XSS. It only has the built-in resolution scaler or scaling. And currently on the left, we've got the RTX 5070 Ti, and on the right, we've got the 9070 XT. And the RTX 5070 Ti is actually quite a bit faster here, around 15 frames per second. I have to say that this game's lows are actually very good. The frame times are very consistent. I played for about an hour or so, very little stuttering, and it's actually a very, very smooth experience. And on the Ultra preset, 60 frames per second is more than doable on both of these GPUs. Now, when we actually turn back, as we are running now towards the trader there, the 9070 XT does actually start to catch up a little bit. Now, if we drop this down to the high preset, we are seeing around 110, 120 frames per second on the RTX 5070 Ti on the left, and then between 90 and 100 frames per second on the 9070 XT on the right. Now, once again, frame times exceptionally smooth. Now, the image on the left looks a little bit washed out. I'm not entirely sure why. It happens at 4K on my RTX or my Nvidia recordings. I'm not sure if DSC or display compression actually kicks in at 4K, because my capture card is set to 4K 60, and it's only the Nvidia GPUs that look a little bit washed out. It actually does fix it when we drop down to 1440p, but just know that the settings are identical. As you'll see when we get to 1440p, the game looks identical on both GPUs. So yeah, we have the RTX 5070 Ti beating the 9070 XT by around 18 frames per second at the end there. Now, if we drop this down to medium, I'm going to go down all the way to low at 4K, but then we'll only go down to medium at 1440p. And once again, around 140-ish frames per second on the 5070 Ti and 116, 120 frames per second on the 9070 XT. And you can see that VRAM use is actually very low in this game. We are below 4 gigabytes of VRAM used on both GPUs. Well, we just reached 4 gigabytes on the 9070 XT. The power draw on the 9070 XT is quite a bit higher though, looking at around 90 watt difference between the two, for around 20 frames per second higher on the 5070 XT. Now, not entirely sure whether this game does favor Nvidia GPUs, because this is not really what I'm seeing in most games, right? Now, if we drop this down to low, I would not recommend playing at low. the the visuals don't look good at all. The world looks very flat. There's very little accurate shadows and ambient occlusion, and it really does not look good at all. The textures especially look pretty flat, and you can see our VRAM usage drop around 500 megabytes there, but still it might come across as being CPU bound here, but the 9070 XT is still drawing around 330 watts. The 5070 XT is doing about 240 watts, and our GPU usage differs a little bit between the two, 92% on the left, while 95% on the right, but we are not CPU bound. If we drop down the settings or adjust the resolution scaling, the frame rate does increase, so we're not entirely CPU bound here, although it does look like it. Now, if it brought down to 1440p Ultra, once again, just native resolution, I can actually see that the image between the two GPUs look identical. The GeForce GPU is no longer washed out, so I really do think it has something to do with DSC. But anyway, looking at performance here, once again, the RTX GPU is around 20-ish frames per second higher than the 9070 XT, and both are giving you very good performance here, both giving a high refresh rate experience. Frame times exceptionally flat. GPU usage again is a little bit lower, with GPU power on the GeForce GPU sitting at 230 watt on the left and then 320 watt on the right. So once again, around a 90 watt difference between the two, for about 20 frames per second more on the GeForce end. Once again, engine, it might be just the engine or the game. It is not officially launched yet, so maybe there's a day one patch, we'll see. Anyway, so dropping down to the high preset, we do see 200 frames per second on the left and around 165 frames per second on the right. And once again, GPU power did drop a little bit. So on the 9070 XT, we are seeing 300 watt, and on the left with the 5070 Ti, we are seeing around 221. And both, once again, giving you great performance here, high refresh rate experience here, no frame generation, no DLSS, FSR upscaling whatsoever, and the frame times once again very smooth. I know my benchmark run is quite boring, but I needed to run it this way for it to be consistent, right? Just to see if I can match it up and have the performance match up as well. All right, so not really much to say here. The RTX GPUs is staying around between 20 and 30 frames per second ahead of the 9070 XT. But dropping down to medium at 1440p, we do see a little bit bigger gain on the GeForce GPU. We are seeing 260, 270 frames per second, where on the RX 97 XT, we are around 200 FPS. So quite a big jump there in the difference between the two. Usually it was between 10, 15, 20%, right? And now we are seeing up to 30% difference. I was expecting it to swing the other way as we become more CPU bound, but because just in my previous testing, I have seen that the 9070 XT pulls ahead when CPU bound. Alright, so this is going to be my new format going forwards. I'm going to be taking these two GPUs and put them head to head in new games coming out, and just previously where I did only single GPUs, now I'll have two. So if that is something you're interested in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.